Therapist. You said you were disappointed with life and how the world operates. What were your expectations? Me. Welcome back to the show. I'm your host, Akorn, and today is Friday, which means it's time for Gen X and Millennial Memes, where we finally remember all the things we didn't even know we forgot about. If you like this series and want to see more, please watch this video to the end. Hit that like and subscribe and share the laughs and memories with your family, friends, and social media. We have some good memes and memories today, so let's get into it. How I look when I get tagged in someone else's pic. I think this is probably pretty true for most of us. We failed as a society when we stopped using carpets like these in public spaces. Weather forecast. Prepare for the 90s. Me and the boys. A large part of being a mom is staring at your kids like this until they start acting better. Yeah, we all knew that look well. I know it sucks when Wi-Fi isn't working, but let me tell you a story of catastrophic proportions from my childhood. Anybody have a tape that broke and you used Scotch tape to piece it back together? And then when you was playing it, you'd have a blank spot for a second. I can't party like I used to, but if I take an afternoon nap, I can stay up till dark. Do you have any previous experience in retail? Kids, I shit you not. There used to be a phone number you could call just to find out what time it was. The one that we usually called would tell you the time and today's weather forecast. Why am I so weird? Movies I saw as a small child. When you ask your mom for McDonald's and she says we got McDonald's at home, this is what she means. Realtor. 38 people have unalived in this house and it's haunted. Horror movie families. The crushing disappointment you felt as a child when you opened Grandma's cookie tin just to find sewing supplies inside. When you're dead, you don't know you're dead. The pain is felt by others. The same thing happens when you're stupid. This is true. I can still feel the buttons and hear the sound of the can falling. I remember one of these machines that was in a trailer court we lived in at one point, and the guy who loaded the machine, every so many cans, he'd put a quarter under one of the tabs of the can. So anytime that you bought a drink, you were hoping you'd get one of the cans that had the extra quarter. This is how we stole memes back in my day. Yep, certainly is. The only thing was you had to do it right the first time, because every time you used the silly putty, the ink on the paper got lighter and lighter. Me getting ready to make the same bad choice, but also being a little more prepared from the last time it backfired. Unfortunately, that's probably a lot truer than we want it to be. If you know who this is, your childhood was golden. Pippi Longstockings. Remember eating Captain Crunch, knowing it was going to destroy the roof of your mouth? Did you guys ever get that little piece of skin that's hanging down from the roof of your mouth? You could feel it, but you never could get a hold of it, be able to rip it on off? According to legend, all drinks tasted better in these. That's the reason that every home had at least one, usually 3 or 4. Rare image of a shark stepping on a Lego. If you never tried doing the Tarzan yell as a kid, did you even have a childhood? If you guys tried the Tarzan yell as a kid, hit that like button. Millennials trying to send a text without adding LOL at the end. Is this true, millennials? Let the rest of us know down in the comments. I really used to call my mom's job, ask for her by her full name, and wait on hold just so I can ask if I can have the ice cream in the freezer. It certainly wasn't like it is today, that's for sure. Wood grain, the bling of the 80s. Things that 9-year-old me thought were everyday dangers. The Bermuda Triangle, falling anvils, black holes, quicksand, piranhas. Well, it's because that we were trained and prepared for these things. That's why we never got caught by them. Teens in 1985. Teens in 2025. Who remembers Chucky and Andy? You inherited this Trans Am. Do you keep or sell? Unfortunately, I'd have to say sell. I need the money a lot more than I need the car. The official sports drink when I was a kid. Photos you can actually hear, 1980s edition. All very true. You can go back in time, but you can only choose one option. A holiday week at grandma's house, one Christmas with your family again, a week hanging with your old friends, a week with your very first love, a week on your favorite holiday. I'd definitely take a week at my grandma's house. Morgan Freeman, age 8. In the 80s, a medical alert company aired a series of commercials depicting the elderly using their device to call for help. One of the women said, "I've fallen and I can't get up." And an entire generation decided, yes, this is the comedy catchphrase for us. Now, many of us just hope we never need such a device. This is what GoFundMe looked like when I was growing up. A grilled cheese sandwich and a bowl of tomato soup is fine dining at its best. Yep, very true, especially on a cold winter day. It finally all makes sense. The Jetsons predicting our future. Zoom meetings. Robot vacuums, telehealth services, smartwatch. They can keep all of these gadgets. I just want Rosie to clean my house. When 80s and 90s kids grow up and get money, I think the windshield might have taken it a step too far, unless that's removable or something. In our time, this was just called a life lesson. And by the looks of it, someone learned this lesson a bit later in life. Dysentery, the diarrhea-inducing bacterial infection, on the rise in Oregon. I've been training for this since 1987. Not a cell phone in sight, just people living in the moment. If you know, you know.
What's your name, Pilgrim? Pilgrim? What am I, John Williams?
We'll instantaneously arrive at a point in time where the bridge is completed. We'll have track under us and coast safely across the ravine.
Yo, Doc, you're squishing the shit out of me.
say goodbye. We both have.
Kids these days will never know the excitement, or more often, the disappointment. Couldn't you imagine if we told kids today that whatever pictures they took today, that they have to wait 2 weeks before they can see them? Everyone was scared of Michael, Freddy, and Jason as a kid, but this guy right here scared me more than all three combined. The way we lost all impulse control around these machines. That's all, folks. Remaining original Looney Tunes removed from Max. It's Rabbit, Duck, and Fud season at Warner Brothers Discovery, which has hunted down and removed the remaining original Looney Tunes cartoons from Max. Sad times. The Beefy 5-layer burrito, 89 cents. The Beefy 5-layer burrito, $5.36. Yeah, that's 600% inflation. In high school, I was so excited to become a senior. I'm not too excited now. In honor of the weekend, here is another nostalgic mall trip. I think out of all of them, I miss Radio Shack the most. Dolly in 79. Dolly at 79. I would never wish this on my worst enemy. Worst enemy? Wish a lot more than that. Kids movies today. Kids movies when I was a child. Pretty much true. Gen X slang. Yeah, I'm not going to read all this, but you guys are welcome to pause the video. Remember having to go to the third floor of Sears behind the furniture department to buy concert tickets? And now, they just buy them on their phone. I'm so glad I grew up doing this and not this. Getting the original Walkman was one of the best days of our life. Out of curiosity, I actually looked these up. There's a good number of them still available, but they are going for hundreds of dollars, or in some cases, even over $1,000. And to top it off, most of them were not fully functional, or they didn't even turn on at all. Do you remember when you could buy a new couch and it came attached to a new car? In the 80s, a kid could turn into a wolf and blend right in. What was your favorite TV show growing up? I guess I'd probably have to say Andy Griffith. My dad and I used to watch the reruns of that show quite a bit when I was a kid. Heidi, we have guests over. Go get the fancy plates. The fancy plates.
Drink Bud Ice, but beware the penguins.
I'm gonna tell my kids these wires went to the fridge for the ketchup, mayonnaise, and mustard dispenser. The year is 1989. Pour Some Sugar on Me is blasting while your mom enjoys a Marlboro Light from the driver's seat. A glowing ember just flew past your face at lightning speed. You are, in this moment, living on the edge. Who remembers when it was common to see a phone booth or mailbox on just about every corner? It's almost impossible to even find a mailbox these days. If you had one of these, you rocked. I'm 84 and my body is full of aches and pains. Well, I'm 85 and I feel like a newborn baby. Really? Yeah. No teeth, no hair, and I just wet my pants. That's actually a pretty bad one. Modern anti-theft device. Picture day for the bus drivers at my elementary school was always a blast. My senior picture. That was probably true for most people back in those days. You can hear, smell, and feel this picture. Yep, and he's even got wood paneling to go with it. If Iron Man was black, who would you cast as Tony Stark? Robert Downey Jr., Mopar burnout, Tesla burnout. Apple patents new AirPods case with interactive display. I can't believe I've lived long enough to watch the full reproductive cycle of an iPod Nano. I didn't even know what an iPad Nano was until there was a meme on a past episode, and you guys told me what it was down in the comments. The perfect bookshelf decor doesn't exist. Your childhood was awesome if you recognize these places. Can we take a moment to talk about how good this was? I guess it was sort of good, but in a really weird way, at least in my opinion. What do you guys think? Almost every grandma had these magnets on their refrigerator. Fact check true. Passing notes in the 80s and 90s is truly a lost art form. '80s school clothes shopping trip. Yeah, that pretty much sums it up, except they forgot Kmart. Rod Stewart's transformation into Lady Elaine Fairchild is almost complete. That's actually a pretty good comparison. No, I can't do Snapchat or TikTok, but I can write in cursive, do math without a calculator, and tell time on a clock with hands. I don't know about the math without a calculator these days, but 2 out of 3 ain't bad. High beams in 1999. High beams today. The WWF in the 80s. Please don't try these moves at home. Me. Okay, I'll try it at a friend's house. Hey, that was logical reasoning, wasn't it? I'm still pissed that Doritos took the window off the bag, because I always like to assess the seasoning level prior to purchase. You know why they did it though, right? They didn't want you to see all the air in the bag. There's something about childhood friends that you just can't replace. Is 9 p.m. good for you? Me. McDonald's making the filling for their apple pies in the 80s. Yep, fact check true. What 70s and 80s kids thought 2025 would look like? Guys, we got ripped off. The 80s Childhood Anxiety Starter Pack. Mike Jugg, the creator of Beavis and Butthead, found inspiration for the characters from his own 2 teenage sons. After Jason Voorhees gets his tax return. Yeah, what is that, a Louis Vuitton mask? You can only bring back one. Well, I'd say a lot of people will go for the apartment, and a good number of people will choose cheap gas. However, I think I'd prefer to be able to buy a decent used car for $1,000 again. Common sense has become so rare that it should be considered a superpower. I completely agree. Common sense certainly isn't common anymore. You have a collect call from...
Mom, come pick me up.
Lou in the 70s. Lou in his 70s. A play place for children at a McDonald's in Franklin, Tennessee, consisting of 2 chairs and 2 touchscreens. Before Google, someone would tell you this dude was Marilyn Manson, and you just had to accept it. Forget your zodiac signs. What piece are you picking? Usually the battleship. Unless that was taken, then I'd probably take the car. I stand with Blockbuster Video. Did anyone try Milk and Pepsi after watching Laverne and Shirley? I am sorry, but that's just nasty. School really had us eating pizza with chocolate milk at 11 a.m. Maybe even 10:30 if you're in the right class. If you call me from a private number, I'll respect your privacy and not answer. I still liked it better when you could just take the phone off the hook. Clearly, Nightmare on Elm Street and Karate Kid share the same universe, because I just spotted Daniel's locker in Nightmare on Elm Street too. That's an interesting find. What's the worst candy in this picture? It's a close tie between Raisinets and Good and Plenty. I just never cared for either one of those. Do you remember these? Yes, I do. I actually had one. I think I got it as a gift. Some 80s movie. This is a college freshman. I have to say, AI does have its uses. Today, I heard a girl ask her dad why people say, hang up the phone. And just think, guys, there's a lot of things that's being lost in translation just from the past 30 or 40 years ago. Now, just take that same concept and go back 100 years, or a few centuries, or millennia. And just imagine how much more that all compounds. They say 40 is the new 30, and 50 is the new 40. All I know is the older I get, the more 9 p.m. is the new midnight. Few people will remember him. When I say I'm living the dream, this is the dream I'm referring to. Pretty much. Society won't heal until we bring back colorful, transparent technology. Alone at home, preparing something delicious to eat, with loud music and no one bothering me. Mama's Family, 1983. As a kid, I assumed Vicki Lawrence was the oldest one on the show. She was actually younger than everyone except the grandkids. Them. The taxes aren't even that high. The taxes. I remember when Band-Aids had a little red thread you pulled to open the sterile wrapper. If you got this, you're definitely old. Here's a picture of Bob Ross before his signature perm and beard. I'm not exactly sure why, but I did some editing to clean up and colorize the photo. Clubbing in your 20s. Clubbing in your 40s plus. I'll never go to Costco again, just because all the DEI garbage that they're still pushing. 4 words only. Learned the hard way. Which, unfortunately, that's how most things go in life. Chewbacca when he was in 5th grade. Thinking about the word minimum written in cursive. Anytime I wrote the word minimum, I kind of thought the same thing. It looks like something a doctor would write. What's the most interesting 80s movie car? I'd have to go with The Time Machine or Christine. A lot of other good choices too, though. No one will ever know how this joke ends. What was the first vinyl record that you ever purchased? Drop it down in the comments. Michael Jackson's chimpanzee, Bubbles, is still alive at 40 years old and living at the Center for Great Apes in Florida. Freddy Krueger waits for his close-up on the set of Dawkins' Dream Warriors, video 1987. Who remembers when this used to be your Friday night plans? When people try talking to you right after you wake up. I saw this when I was in Walmart the other day. They're bringing back the Growing Rocks or Crystal kit. Our parents never knew how far we rode our bikes in the 80s. The laser background was an extra $5. Totally worth it. Or at least we thought so back then. This will always be the greatest Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle movie. Kids these days want the iPhone 16. When I was younger, I just wanted the Crayola 64. Who remembers drinking this when you had a cold? Forget about Vicks. How many of you guys ever had a hot toddy when you were sick as a kid? Welcome to the Gen X playground. In case of injury, stop crying. Blow on it. You're fine. Walk it off. No one cares. My mind still thinks I'm 25. My body thinks my mind is an idiot. Yeah, they used to have pencils too, among other things. I actually think some schools may have the modern vending machines and just put pens and pencils in packages so they'll work. Whoa, they must be rich starter pack. Point of view, visiting grandma, strawberry or caramel. I grew up in a time when this is all we needed for security. I was just about the only locks that my grandfather's house had, and the other locks used skeleton keys. Memory unlocked. If you know what this is, you're a true 80s movie buff. If you know what this is, you're officially old school. You either love Ghostbusters or you're wrong. This was submitted by Jane, and she said, "This is the best measuring tape in my sewing box." Mount St. Helens before and after its catastrophic eruption in 1980. Why are you scared of clowns? 80s and 90s kids. The Dollar General. My answer whenever someone asks me how old I am. I was once on the telephone with Blockbuster Video. Used to be able to pull out my Blockbuster card until I finally lost it somewhere. When your mom tells you not to touch anything in the store. Scary Jack in the Box. Adult equivalent. My mom still hates trying to open those type cans of biscuits. Some Gen Xers are the same age as some of the characters in Season 1 of The Golden Girls, if not older. This is the ages that they portrayed to be on the show, however their real ages was much closer together. In fact, 3 of them were either 62 or 63 years old, with Blanche being the youngest at 51. You can only rent 3. Part 2. Out of the ones listed here, I'd probably rent Beverly Hills Cop, Christine, and I guess I'd have to go with the one sequel that I must have missed, because I never heard of Indiana Jones and the Infernal Machine. I actually looked into it, and apparently that was a video game that came out in '99. This was a scene that was filmed in the original Goonies movie, but was later deleted. 80s parents, don't play with your food. 80s kids. And as we all know, it looks pretty much the same from the outside too. I've been waiting for this moment my whole life. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles now hiring. Inquire within. Okay, just hear me out. I actually think it'd be kind of cool to own one of those. I'd like to get to the point where you can be like the guy that runs the ride when he gets out of the center console and goes walking around the outside walls. I always looked forward to seeing these set out for gym class, races, and obstacle courses. Or more likely, a makeshift skateboard that ended up shooting out from under your feet, leaving you in a crumpled pile on the floor. Of course, we were younger back then. We'd jump up, do it all over again. We fall like that these days, we're probably going to be laying there for a few minutes before we even try to get up. Life after 40. You can't remember where you parked, but you can remember all the lyrics to 80s hits. I can't remember a lot of those either.
Autobots, roll out!
AC/DC, for those about to fish. Not the worst name I've seen for a boat. This sandwich hits differently when you've been swimming all day. If you guys still put chips on your sandwich, hit that like button. A whole roll of caps hit with a hammer or a rock. You can still smell it to this day. Kids today are soft. I died once when I was 5, and my mom made me walk it off. True story. You know you're old school if you've ever eaten this. Yes, I do. And after a while, as I got older, my foot was often longer than the scale. Your McDonald's childhood. I'm at a weird age. Like old people think I'm young, but young people all think I'm old. This guy unalived, and they still made him go to work. That's actually a fact. How many of you remember Mr. Belvedere? The first episode aired on March 15th, 1985. Still better than Cats. This is one that I don't think I remember. I think we all had this wood grain masterpiece in the 90s. Every time a government employee loses their job, an angel gets its wings. Well, I understand their point, but it just doesn't have the same ring to it. I think I mentioned this in the last episode, but it has been confirmed that there is a Goonies sequel in the works. Here's another article that I came across this week, just confirming this. For years, die-hard fans of the Goonies have yearned for a sequel. I don't know how true that is. What do you guys think? And now it's finally happening. Entertainment Weekly reports that a sequel to the 1985 movie is officially in the works at Warner Brothers, as confirmed by a representative from the studio. This is just the final confirmation, so to speak, as some of the original cast had already made statements about this in recent months, especially concerning that they were reprising their role. Dad, I can't swim. Not with that attitude. This is how you knew where your friends were back in the day. That is very true. You just ride around until you see what house that everybody else's bikes is at. If you know who this is, you had an awesome childhood. How many of you remember the issue in real life, or at least some said it was a real problem, with Big Bird being the only one who could see Snuffleupagus? which this later became the reason for his reveal to all the other Sesame Street Muppets. I don't care how old I get. If I walk by a toy with a Try Me button, I'm pushing it. Who remembers the smell of this? Yep, Homer's glue paste. Rare photo of a first-generation Stanley water bottle, circa 1990. Well, it sure as heck isn't a first generation by any means. The Red Skelton Show. Little before my time, but I did watch reruns. Time to settle the most important summer debate. Which one is correct? I would accept 5 or 6 as the correct answer, but 6 is what I prefer. How about you guys? How do you guys like your marshmallows? Yeah, McDonald's is certainly one of the things that hasn't aged well. Am I fat? Boomers. You could lose a few pounds. Millennials. No, you're beautiful. Gen Z. We don't body shame. Of course you're not. Gen X. I know 5 fat people, and you're 4 of them. Yeah, and this phrase worked pretty universally because you could just replace the word fat with just about any insult. My generation is going to start a revolution. Your generation can't even start a lawnmower. Yep, that's why they have kids on GoFundMe. Sometimes I'd like to drop my kids off in the 80s just to see how long they make it. Well, they certainly better learn the rhyme about sticks and stones, because they'll probably be getting their feelings hurt a lot. Some of you never read 100 books to earn a personal pan pizza, and it shows. It wasn't no 100 books, was it? What do you guys remember? How many books was it to be able to get the personal pan? Which crew would you roll with? One choice, bottom left. Men in 1973. Men in 2025. My uncle with 3 felonies has been pretty sad lately, so I remodeled his room so he can feel at home again. Now this is the kind of practical jokes that our generations would actually go to the lengths to do. When I was little, I didn't care what I wore. I just went along with what my parents chose. When I look in old photo albums, I realize that they didn't care either. That is very apparent when you start to look at some of those old photographs. We've showed a good number of them here on the channel. Who was the most annoying 80s sidekick? I think I'd have to go with Scrappy. Who would you guys pick? I loved calling Mickey, Minnie, Donald, Goofy, and Snow White. These I don't remember. I ain't ever eating an edible again. I just watched a 2-hour movie on mute and started crying because I thought I was deaf. You better start slow with them edibles. There's a pretty long delay. They'll sneak up on you. I used to run home from school to watch this. Sometimes I amaze myself. Other times, I can't remember where I left my phone, or why I walked into a room, or why I drove all the way to town. Yeah, I've done that before. When you gotta pick up Batman at 11:30, but you need to get your swole on first. Mr. Rogers was so prepared that he even went out of his way to prepare children for his death. When he died, his website posted a link to help children understand what had happened. The post read, "Remember that feelings are natural and normal, and that happy times and sad times are part of everyone's life." I told my kids to tape something and realized they have no idea what I meant. And then I crumbled into ancient dust and my spirit went to live in an abandoned Blockbuster video. Every high school in the 80s and 90s had this teacher. What subject did he teach? I actually think I had two. One was drafting class, and ironically, the other one was our phys ed teacher. Kids today are learning emotional intelligence from inside out, while we got Bambi's mom getting shot, Mufasa's unaliving, Cinderella enslaved, and Snow White's stepmom trying to unalive her. Yeah, and there's probably a lot more you could add to this list. Kids exploring ancient ruins. That phone actually looks like it still works. Apparently, it even has a phone book. When someone is nicer to you than usual. Yep, you better be expecting something. This comment describes Gen Z perfectly. If the apocalypse happened, I would just pass away. Why do people in movies always have so much will to live? Well, I guess they've already decided. Would you take the red pill or the blue pill? They're all good cartoons, but if I had to choose one side or the other, I think I'd have to go with the red pill. My 4 moods. I need coffee. I need a nap. I need a vacation. I need duct tape, a rope, and a shovel. I ate a leprechaun, and it was magically delicious. Sorry guys, no more Lucky Charms. His luck ran out. Song of the South. 14 things to know about Disney's most controversial movie. As Tiana's Bayou Adventure opens and replaces the Song of the South themed Splash Mountain, here's why the Uncle Remus adaptation will never be on Disney+. I want to buy 20 white shirts. Why do you spend your entire salary on shirts, Clark? This is what happened when they got rid of telephone booths. Remember when the FBI threatened you before every VHS tape? Yeah, and for some reason, it was always on the copies that we made too. Never stop dreaming. Freddy Krueger. Kids these days will never understand. This is the original Hawkeye. This meme is obviously speaking of Hawkeye Pierce versus today's Hawkeye from the Marvel movies. And before a bunch of people start flooding the comments that Alan Alda wasn't the original Hawkeye because there was a movie that predated the TV show. And in the movie, Sutherland played the character of Hawkeye Pierce. Marty has the ability to drive a flying DeLorean that can travel through time, yet he still dreams of owning a Toyota 4x4. Yep, for good reason too. Who remembers checking under the cap to win? Yeah, I do. As far as I can remember, the only thing I ever won was a free drink a couple times. How about you guys? What was the best prize that you guys won from these? How many of you guys have drank sun tea? I remember my dad talking about how they made it back when he lived on the farm as a kid. I'm thinking about purchasing a Verco 3700 BRM desk so I can finally get some decent sleep. Yeah, I seriously doubt that I could fall asleep at a desk these days. And if I did, my back, neck, and my legs would probably hurt me trying to get up. Snowman for sale. Needs repairs. $25. Thankfully, guys, we're getting toward the end of snowman season. I'll be glad when warm weather gets here, except for all the bugs. I am not looking forward to their return. No one tells you this, but the older you get, the more you look out your house windows. Yeah, either you can't or you just don't want to go outside. Guys, I just saw Thomas the Tank Engine being kidnapped by Optimus Prime. How Dad used to read our report card. When I was 14, I was sneaking out of the house doing sketchy things with even sketchier people. My 14-year-old son makes me watch him take the trash out at night because it's dark outside. Well, I can't completely blame him. The things that people are doing these days is just getting worse all the time. And it seems like with every day that passes, that they care less and less about being seen committing crimes right in broad daylight. Things you say after 40. This list is very true. If you'd like to read it in full, you guys are welcome to pause the video. Never forget where you came from. Saturday, March 24th, 1984. Fidget Spinner, 1980s edition. Yeah, and all the previous decades before that, too. This is a childhood delicacy. If you want to make it fancy, add some butter, garlic powder, and Parmesan cheese before you put your sliced cheese on. It all just kind of melts together. If you remember this commercial, I'm sorry for the confusion. Did you know that all of the scenes from Star Wars were actually filmed on Earth? Yep, sorry guys, it was a lie this whole time. What is the first game you think of when you see this controller? The very first one? Super Mario Brothers. I'm sure most all of you have heard about Gene Hackman and his wife passing away recently. He was a good actor in a lot of different roles, but one of the most iconic roles that he's remembered for is Lex Luthor, playing opposite to Christopher Reeve. Who remembers when cereal gave out cool stuff? I've mentioned about this on past episodes, and I happened to spot this one again last week, so I stopped to take a photo. Little Golden Books has fallen a long way. What 1985 movie cast is this? If you know the answer, drop it down in the comments. This was considered comically fat in 1971. Childhood memories from PE class. I'm $300 VCRs old. I remember when they were higher than that. How many of you guys ever rented a VCR when you rented your movies? Only the finest modern artwork. It's a whole lot better than half the garbage they use for money laundering these days. These kids are now blind because they sat too close to the TV. Sincerely, every 80s mom. Only a few people will understand the pain of stepping on one of these. If you know what these are, drop it down in the comments. The good old days. Picture from 1986. When you can't stand people, but you love animals. I actually saw a video of some guy that broke into someone's house, and after he got inside, he found that they had a big dog. Unfortunately, the dog was just happy to get petted on. If you know what this is, your childhood was awesome. Are you an 80s kid? One day we said, this will be the last coin. And it was. And I'll end the show with this. You can't change how people feel about you, so don't even try. Just live your life, and if possible, be happy. I want to thank all of you who watched this video to the end, as it really helps to support the channel. If you like this series and want to see more, then please share these videos with your family and friends. I thank you all for watching. You guys take care and stay safe this weekend. This is Akorn, over and out.